Hey everybody, it's Angie from Little Dumplings Nursery. It is Friday evening, 5:10 p.m. So some of you are probably just getting off from work. Maybe some of you are already off from work. I don't know how many people will actually be able to join me live, but I have to catch these little minutes when I can. Today I want to do a real quick little talk and demonstration. This is not going to be about painting. This is going to be about something very important to me, and that is the proper way to store your glass beads when you are weighting your reborn dolls. I've been meaning to do this for some time now, and I haven't gotten around to it, and I keep looking behind me because my camera's behind me, and I'm going to be working on this desk over here, so I'm kind of going to be flip-flopping back and forth. Or the camera's here, but the monitor's behind me. But anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you're putting your glass beads in your dolls. I now own 9 reborn babies that's including silicone reborns that were not made by me. I have others in my collection, probably just as many that I made. But I've got 9 now, if I counted right, that I have not made myself. And of these 9 babies, I have reweighted 7. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we each have our own taste and preference when it comes to how we want our babies to feel when we hold them. So it's not unusual that people sometimes get their dolls and they reweight them if they know anything about reborning. Some people like their dolls really heavy. Some people like their dolls light, that kind of thing. So I tend to weight my babies in the mid-range. I don't like my babies to be super heavy, but I don't like them to be I don't want super light babies either. I like them to have enough weight that their head needs to be supported and that they balance evenly in my arms and they cuddle. I don't like there to be any hard masses in the middle of their bodies. So if I can feel the weighting material that's in the middle of the body, I will immediately open that doll up and redistribute it or do it differently. I don't like my baby's heads to go flying backwards. And that happens a lot of the time from improper weighting. And so if I get a baby that's like that, I will immediately open the head up and redo it. So that's nothing against any artist. I have babies here, like I said, that I've reweighted, and I absolutely adore them. They were painted absolutely beautifully, but I just wanted them weighted differently. So and then I've also had dolls sent to me to be remade or whatever in the past when I did more of that kind of work, and I've seen a lot of things inside of a lot of dolls. So anyway, in my course of doing all this, I've noticed a common thing, 2 common things. Number one, I mentioned the head flipping backwards, and I have to give a shout out to Debbie Henshaw. She was the first person to actually teach this, and I learned it from her. But the old habit of taking your reborn head, like this right here, like this head, and taking it and just turning it upside down and putting a hosiery or something down inside of it and pouring it full of beads and then pulling it and knotting it and then stuffing it the rest of the way with polyfill. That's how a lot of people have done it in the past and still do it. The problem with that is you get all this weight in the head and the back of the head, and when that baby's on the body, that head tends to flip backwards. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is to first fill your baby's head with polyfill and hold it this way and put polyfill from the halfway, like the ears marked, down in the back of the head and a little bit up at the top of the head, and then make your weighting pack and put it inside so that the weighting pack sits right behind the nose, mouth, and chin area. And what that will do, and then pack everything around it and then put a little polyfill at the bottom. What that will do is it will allow the baby's head to tip forward. So when you sit your baby in the sitting position, her chin will rest on her chest. She won't do this number right here and constantly be flipping backwards. So that's the first thing, is be sure you're positioning the weighting material in the head in the proper place. The other thing is we're going to talk about is weighting the body. And I'm going to move my camera down here in just a minute so that you'll be looking at my desk and you'll hear me talking. But of course, no matter what kind of glass bead you use, as far as the limbs go, you can pour your beading directly into the limbs, stuff them with polyfill. Some people put some in the hands and wrists and a little polyfill, then more in the middle and do it that way. Some people put them all in the end. You know, it's however you feel that particular doll needs to be distributed. But you can pour them directly into the limbs. That's not a problem, and then seal them off. When it comes to the baby's body, this is what I'm seeing all the time. And that is that people are using knee highs to put their glass beads in, and they think that if they double the knee high, the glass beads won't come through it. And I'm here to tell you it does not work. Knee highs will not hold in glass beads. And the majority of people out there are not buying a large enough glass bead that a knee high would hold it in. What you need to do is two things. You need to buy a larger glass bead for your body cavity if you're going to put it in something like a knee high. And then you also need to use, instead of a knee high, you need to use trouser socks. Not knee highs, but trouser socks. Now, trouser socks are the equivalent of tights. And I get these at the Dollar Tree. You get 2 in a pack for $1. Yes, they are always black. They never have them in any other color but black. But if you use this and fill it and surround it by polyfill, the black does not show. Even when it hasn't even touched the body, I've held it up against the cloth bodies, the black does not show through the body, so it's not an issue. But this is a thick, as you can see, you can't see my hand through it. This is thick like tights, and it's stretchy. It's not as thick as spandex leggings, but it's thick. It's like tights. So this will hold a larger beading inside, and I still double it, but this will hold it, and you can get a nice body pack using this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I don't have any knee highs. Literally, I scoured every drawer in my house here, and I literally do not own a pair of knee highs. I actually finally found an older pair of pantyhose that I cut the bottom half off of. So I'm going to use that for my demonstration, because the pantyhose and knee highs are the same thing. But as you can see, and this one is black because that was the only thing I could find, but as you can see my hand through that. These had a seam at the back because they were, but you can see my hand through that. You can see my hand. You could see my hand through the flesh colored knee highs like people get from the Dollar Tree. So that's another signal that you should know that they're much more porous. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to turn the camera down and talk a little bit more about the beading now. So let me reposition my camera. And I will be saving this video and posting it on my personal page, nursery page, as well as here in the Reborn Connection. All right, let me bring my camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. Give me just a minute, folks. Okay. There we go. I might need to turn the lighting up a little bit. Give me just a minute to adjust my camera lighting. I have to play with this webcam a little bit. There we go. All right, so I have 2 kinds of beads that I buy. This first one is and I buy these from Abrasive Armory, and yes, they're a little more costly, but it's worth it to get the right results for me on my dolls. This first one is the meal-free bead, so I'm going to bring it in, and it is an impact Ballatini bead. If you look at it, you can see, you can see it in person, it is perfectly round. They're just teeny, teeny, tiny. But that's what they look like. So they're about the size, they're bigger than sugar. They're a little bigger than really coarsely ground sugar is the closest thing I could describe them to. They are about like sand in size. Of course, they're round. So this is what I use in my limbs, and then I pour these directly in my limbs. And then for my head, I buy all vinyl gloves, and I use let me grab a box of those right quick if I can find them. Okay, so these are the large transparent, I've got some other colors down in there, but these are large transparent vinyl gloves. I get these from Sally Beauty Supply, but this is an all vinyl glove. So you can put those beads into this glove and tie it up and use this to weight the head. And it works perfectly for weighting the head and putting it in the chin area and whatnot. Now, if you're using plastic poly pellets, which I've got a bag of these over here, some that I used the other day out of some on a doll, you can put poly pellets in pantyhose, or knee highs, and they will hold, but they're much bigger. But excuse me, the all vinyl glove works great for containing those mil-3 or smaller glass beads, and I use that in the head. Now, I prefer to buy a bigger glass bead I'm about to show you for my bodies. If you don't go with the bigger glass bead for your body and you're only buying the mil-3 or smaller beads for your bodies, then you need to put them in an all vinyl glove, not a knee high. And yes, I know it's going to have a weird shape, but what you can do is you can fill 2 gloves, tie them off, and then take your buy your Dollar Tree trouser sock, which is like a knee high, and then take your gloves and put them down in the knee high and position them like I usually do, the fingers down on one end and the fingers up on the other end against each other down in the knee high, and double it over it, and that will hold them together and make more of a soft cushioned type packing that you can then take your body cavity, fill it completely with polyfill, hollow out a hole, and stick that down in the middle of the hole. So I have done that before when I absolutely cannot get, because sometimes they get out of stock on these larger beads, and I have done that in a pinch. So you can do that if you're going to be weighting your body with the smaller beads. Don't put them directly into knee highs. Okay, so what I want to show you is, here's the larger bead that I buy. This is the mil-1, and this is the largest bead that Abrasive Armory sells. And it is not as big as a poly pellet. Let me see if I can get one in my hand so you can actually see it or not. There it is. And let me see if I can get one of these other ones, or a piece of one of the, a couple of these other ones. I don't know if that will actually show up in my hand. Let's see if that'll magnify in. There. See that? See the difference in the mil-3 that's just like a speck of something shiny on my hand, as opposed to the mil-1? Much bigger. All right. So let me do that. So if you pour these bigger ones into this trouser hose, they will not come through it, and you can double it up, and you can leave it a little loose where you knot it so that they move around, and then flip it over and knot it again and leave them where they move back and forth into the trouser hose, and you get a nice squishy little body pack that you can then encapsulate with your polyfill, and you have a nice squishy baby body cavity that's weighted, that doesn't have that hard rock feel in the middle. So that's the best case scenario. So that's what I like to do. But what I wanted to show you, for those of you that think you're being successful at doubling up your knee highs and putting the mil-3 beads in them, I'm going to show you that it's not working. So what I'm going to do is take my knee high here. I'm going to take some of my mil-3 beads. I'm going to scoop them up and pour them into my knee high. I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear what I'm about to do. So they're down in my knee high. And if I take my knee high and I start squeezing it, I want you to listen and see if you can hear this. I don't know that you can hear it because it's so minute, but let me just start squeezing. So there are beads coming out, going into that knee, going into that, got a hair in it too, going into that little bowl. And I'm hoping you can hear that. I don't know that the microphone's good enough to pick that up, but when I tilt my bowl over, see those beads? Those beads came through that knee high or stocking. That's what came through. Now, you might say, oh, but I double it or I triple it. Okay, I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you and the logic behind it. If this comes through one layer and you double it, it's going to make it through the second layer eventually, and then eventually it's going to make it through the third layer. I have opened up dolls with glass beading in knee highs inside of them to have glass coming out and all in the polyfill of the doll. Some of them I've opened up have been doubled and or tripled. Usually it's doubled, and it's coming out. I have also opened up dolls, not any that are in my collection. I will say this. This has not happened in any of my collection dolls, but dolls that I've repaired for other people. I have opened up dolls that had a knee high that was not doubled, that had the glass beading that was this size and or smaller, and the glass beading was coming out all in the doll cavity. But not only that, it was already coming through the seams of the doll's body. And so when you would remove the diaper, there was little glass beading and whatnot coming out of the edges of the diaper as well. So I'm telling you all, under no circumstances should you be putting glass beading of any kind into a knee high. You need to pay a little extra money, or it's really not extra if you have the Dollar Tree, and buy yourself trouser socks, trouser hose, and then pay extra money and get either a larger glass bead or put your glass beads into a vinyl glove and then put your vinyl glove down into the knee high. Now, some of you may ask, and I'm going to tell you, I have not even tried this, so we're going to try it. Some of you may be sitting here thinking, well, can I put my Mill3 beads into the trouser hose? Would that work? Honestly, people, I have not tried that, so I'm going to do it now and we'll see. I'm leery of it because they're so small. And the trouser hose, like I said, they're still tight, they're still porous, and they're small enough, these beads, that I think they would work their way through, but we'll try it and see. So I'm going to pour some into the trouser hose, or trouser sock as they're calling them, and let's just see if it works its way through. I hear it. Can you hear it? So there it is. They're coming through. So see, even with the thick trouser sock that's more like tights, these Mill3 beads are going to come through. And these Mill3 are the little bit larger grain beading. There's another grain of beading that people get that's like a sieve 60, I think it is, and comes from, what's the name of that company? I'm not going to empty that right now. I'm going to make a mess if I do. Comes from Zorro or something like that, because I've bought them before. You can order them through Walmart. So those two are even smaller. Now you're asking me, okay, what about the ones you're putting in your trouser hose that are the bigger size beads? So I have not had any issues with these, and I do double them. But when you start crunching them, they are staying in here. None coming out. So, you know, and they feel, when you feel them, you feel like little beads. You can feel them. They feel more like a small poly pellet, only they're glass beads. So either buy the larger Mill1 and put them directly into a trouser sock, not a knee high. Or if you're not going to put the extra money into that and you're going to use all your other regular beads, then put your regular beads into an all vinyl glove, and then put your gloves down into your trouser sock, which they call it a trouser sock, but it's actually a knee high. It's actually a type of tights knee high. So put your all vinyl glove down inside of that, and it will make it softer, and then you can pack the whole thing down inside your polyfill. I hope that I'm trying to turn the camera right quick. Here we go. I hope that my explanation is not confusing. And I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from on this, because I'm a stickler about doing top quality, best products, best thing you can do for your buyer, so that there's no problems down the road. So that's why I'm a real stickler about this. And I just wanted to share this with you all, give you something to look at and to think about, and realize that if you're doing the knee-high thing and you're putting your glass beads in it, that's a big error. And in my opinion, a highly big no-no, because your buyers are going to possibly take the baby and open it up, and they're going to see it's leaking all out in there, or they're possibly going to start noticing when they change the baby's diaper that there's glass coming out of the seams of the body. So I wanted to make that known to you all, that just doubling them up in the knee high is not enough. And and urge you all to please do better. So we want to do the best we can in this industry. We want to have the highest standards in this industry, and that's why I promote this and teach this. So y'all guys have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow's my 55th birthday, so I'm going to be busy with my family, getting a year older. And I hope y'all have a good one. And anything I can do to help anybody, any questions, don't hesitate to send me a message. I'll be more than happy to answer it if I can. If not, I'll try to research it, figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I'll try to point you in the direction that somebody that might can, or I will just say I don't know. So y'all have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.